Off top, it rains diamonds on Saturn and Jupiter. Play the music.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.
Welcome to the Domonique Foxworth Show presented by Allstate. Throw your hands up. We are here. We have our normal Sunday crew, the wonderful Bill Barnwell, and
the normal Bill Barnwell.
very
wonderful.
Very wonderful.
Wunderbar.
Bill Barnwell, and the ruggedly handsome lumber snack himself.
Okay.
Chucky Kravitz is in the building, y'all. He's a nerd. I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but he's very, very smart. I won't embarrass him, but I mean, a lot of people say he did pretty good on some standardized tests.
It's got that mountain math going, from what I hear.
Guys, I wasn't here on Thursday, and Domonique, that's like the longest break our relationship has had in years, and
It made us stronger.
yeah, you know,
Can't wait to vant in New York next week.
distance makes the heart grow fonder. Should we do some football?
Let's do it.
Okay,
Let's go.
so I'm really excited about this concept. No producer would ever think of something like this, but we came off a wonderful slate.
Hold on, Bill. I would like to first say that I objected to this concept, and before you all hear this concept, I would like you to imagine that this is the title of a show on Fox Sports. Proceed.
Okay, so we're coming off a wonderful slate of NFL football. We got the takes are flying. Good teams played bad teams played well. And I think we should play a game called Say It With Your Chest. Coming out of these games, you guys got to say something with your chest. Do you believe it? Do you not believe it?
Oh, on Fox Sports Monday morning, Say It With Your Chest with Nick Wright and Charlie Kravitz.
That's right.
All right, Charlie, where do you want us to go first and say things with our chest? Should I unbutton my shirt to do this? Do I have to be bare-chested?
This is such a flex. You want to be bare-chested, but
Yeah, exactly. This is 100% Domonique trying to find an excuse to take his shirt off on the show.
you know, one time I was with Domonique in New York, and he took a bathroom selfie wearing a tank top, and then rather than send it to people, he just showed me the bathroom selfie, and then I saw him show it to two other people being like, the arms are looking good, weren't they?
Yeah.
And everyone was like, yeah, the arms are, sure.
Were
guy.
these random people or people you knew?
Nah, just on the street.
I could see either. I could
Just
just see going
randos
to
on the
random
street.
people in New York.
It was Pablo Torre, Ryan Cortez. He was too embarrassed to show it to Jeff Saturday, even though Jeff Saturday was on the show.
Jeff would have loved it. I'm
He
going to
had-
text it to Jeff right
He had
now.
he had to bully us doughy losers by showing off the arms.
I mean, sometimes your self-esteem gets a little low, and you know what you do? You beat up on your friends. That's
right.
what any civilized human being would do. All right, so now we got to get to football, and we got to say things with our chest.
Okay, first game. Let's talk about the 49ers and Jaguars. The 49ers won 34-3. Brocktober ended and Brock Vember has begun. He played much better in that game. So did the 49ers defense. On the other side, Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars offense continued to struggle. Domonique, do you have a take off of this game that you want to say with your chest?
Absolutely. Brock Purdy's back. He's great, blah, blah, blah. False. The 49ers have always been about this defensive line. They have been for the duration of this run. And as good as the offense can be at sometimes, the reason why we believe in them again is not because Brock is back. It's not because Trent is back. It's not because Debo is back and Brock's head is clear. It's because Chase Young came out there and woke up that defensive line. They had 5 sacks, ton of pressures, and that's what this game is, or that's what this team is predicated on. We often think about the Cowboys as the most complimentary team that they need to get a big lead to let that defense play. I also think that the 49ers really need to have a dominant defense to allow their offense many opportunities and the ability to stay multiple late in games. This wasn't a game where they needed that help because they jumped on. Well, actually, it was 13-3 at halftime, so they didn't jump all over the Jags until the end. But you know what? 13-3 at halftime? Because that damn defense was getting after people. Right, Bill?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really strong take to start this concept with. The offense doesn't matter for the 49ers. We just saw in the NFC Championship game last year, we saw that they, in fact, do need an offense to beat good football teams. But I'm going to prepare my chest. Hold up. I got a slightly different take to put out here, which is Brock Purdy didn't play any better on Sunday than he did during that 3-game losing streak. He was exactly the same. His first touchdown pass was a sprint out to one side of the field and then a throw across his body to the middle of the field, the exact thing you don't want your young quarterback to do. But it worked. We shouldn't be crediting him for a great decision because it worked. It just happened to work. And then on top of that, I know Domonique just poo-pooed the idea of Trent Williams mattering, superstar left tackle mattering, of Deebo Samuel, one of the best wide receivers in football, mattering. Getting those guys back helped. He had so much more time to work with. He was more confident, more decisive, didn't have to panic as often. But he's still the same guy. Brock Purdy's no different today than he was before this game.
How did you manage to do it perfectly, to give the aggressive sports guy take that was, just as wild as my take, but also still give a nice measured follow-up with all of the great, because saying that he's just as good last weekend as he was this weekend is, it's a little bit out there considering that they dominated this team. And he threw some pretty nice passes.
Yeah,
like there were some really,
Kittle.
impressive throws in that game.
But the point I made, and this is how you know I'm a professional, I'm good at this stuff, is I left you a little bit of meat on the bone to get to the next topic. And I said, the 49ers need a great offense to beat a good team.
I heard that. A little chum.
But
you're so good. I'm not doing well. I'm going to button this button back up. I've not earned to have my chest hair shown yet, but yeah, you're right.
If I had chest hair, I would show it right now, but I don't. But are the Jaguars legitimate competition?
Yeah, so I had been buying into the Jaguars. They were like an under-the-radar team. Mm-hmm. I think that I'd been kind of believing that they're good, and we're predisposed so that we have all these, confirmation bias things that come into our mind, and I think Trevor Lawrence falls into a category of confirmation bias where we've been told that he was great, and I want him to be
talent.
Yeah, and I want him to be great, and he has shown glimpses of greatness, but when you look up at how long he's been in the league, we're at the point where we're kind of like, what are you going to do? When are you going to step up to that level with the guys like Burrow and Allen and Mahomes? And even Lamar, as he's been up and down, has reached higher heights than Trevor Lawrence ever has.
Yep. 9 touchdowns, 10 turnovers this season. And during the Jaguars' 5-game winning streak, their defense created 12 turnovers in that span and really helped them out. And the one huge playoff victory of Trevor Lawrence's career that sort of cemented him as this being the breakout year, you can also attribute to our good friend Brandon Staley, who decided to give them back those 28 points in that game.
You hate Brandon
Gave
Staley
them back,
so
handed them back with his good hands.
He said, please, sir, take this playoff victory from us.
Trevor Lawrence, I believe, turned the ball full over 4 times in that game.
The first
half,
half.
Not mistaken. To add to that point, are we blaming Trevor Lawrence for this? Do you think the pieces around him are enough? Do you feel like they get the most out of the talent they have? Because I gotta say, I don't watch Trevor Lawrence and think, oh, he's missing a ton of throws, or oh, he misses some here or there, makes some bad decisions, made some terrible choices late in this game. But it's not like I feel like, oh, he can't do this or he can't do that, or we're seeing his limitations. But it feels like such a struggle with this offense. They have so many pieces where on paper you think, wow, they're really good. Calvin Ridley can be a really good receiver. Travis Etienne can be awesome at times. Christian Kirk is overqualified to be your number 3 target. Evan Ingram has been good since joining the Jags, and yet it feels like so rarely do they have easy answers for Trevor Lawrence, whether that's because of the protection, whether it's because of them not creating opportunities for their receivers. It just feels like Trevor has to create so many times for that offense to work, and that's a big burden that only the top quarterbacks in football can handle, and we don't know if Trevor can handle that at this point.
That's fair. I guess that's the gift and the curse of going to Jacksonville, is that he is not getting the support that he needs. That's the curse, but the gift is, you know what? We're not treating him like we would treat every other high-profile quarterback, where it's like, where's that playoff win? Well, I guess they did get that playoff win. Where is that consistently competitive team? He hasn't been getting that same pressure that we expect. I feel like it's starting to fall on another team that no one cares about, but the Chargers. We do it to Herbert a lot more than we do to Trevor Lawrence, but I guess it's because Trevor Lawrence got that one playoff win, which we're attributing to a negative Brandon Staley performance and not as much as a positive Jags game.
Please, sir. Please, I don't want this playoff win. Please take it away from me, please.
Much better
Yeah,
accent
that
than
was
yours.
better.
That was impressive. The man's on fire today.
Can I say something that
We're together.
the opposite of saying with my chest? Can I walk back something that you guys made fun of a couple weeks
what
ago?
body part? What is the meekest body part that you say with your feet? I don't know.
My entire body is meek. That doesn't. A couple weeks ago, you guys made fun of me for calling trading at the NFL trade deadline the Howie Roseman effect. I would like to rename that the John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan effect, because it seems amazing that and I know this is one game and Chase Young had half a sack, but there was a lot of press coming out this week about how reinvigorated Nick Bosa and the defensive line was with Chase Young. It's sort of amazing that in back-to-back years, they've been able to not rebuild a contender, but find a piece that could actually move the needle at the deadline. And that's you love organizational stability and institutional control that helps players succeed. As a Commanders fan, I'm genuinely excited to see someone who seemed to have a ball of talent be in a place to succeed in other places. And it doesn't seem like anyone is better at setting that up than the 49ers.
I mean, I think that they know what they want and they know how to use what they want and they know what they need. Go ahead, Bill.
This is like you describing like your butt. Like this is like you talking about like I know how to use it to get what I want. Like
me or Domonique.
Hey, Bill knows.
I would say both.
Bill knows I got a great butt. It's definitely me. I got a great butt. It sits up high, it's tight, firm.
I'm quad dominant.
Again, no question. But we're going to credit the Niners for this. And we're going to talk about the Christian McCaffrey situation. Mm-hmm. I'm more interested in what happened at the end of this game. Which was the Christian McCaffrey streak and the Niners, who just lost we're missing Christian McCaffrey for a couple plays here or there. He was banged up. A player who missed most of 2 years of football because he was injured, and a team that probably needs him to win a Super Bowl, selling out at the end of this game to try and get him a touchdown, going for it on 4th and 5, up like 30 points. Domonique. You loved it. Why?
I loved it.
It's just numbers. Who cares?
Exactly. Well, I think so. Yeah. I get, so I was going to jump all over you, but I get that you are partially being somewhat facetious when you say it's just numbers. Who cares? Because
I'm not. I'm being genuine.
Oh, well, then I'm more than willing to jump all over you then. Like, I think this is sometimes the problem. And I get it. If he gets injured there, it's a terrible situation. I get it. It's a dumb thing to do. It's a risky thing to do. But I do think things like that are small things that do have a value, an emotional value to your team. And you can't measure like continuing that or even going for that. Not being the Belichickian jaded coach that's like, oh, we don't care about winning all these games in a row. We don't care about it.
That's someone saying something with their chest, if you ask me.
I'm just saying, like, I appreciate those things. I imagine in the locker room, I remember having this conversation with Jeff Saturday when they had an opportunity to go undefeated and they got benched because their general manager was like, no, this is not important. He said it was demoralizing. He hated it. They were angry at their coaching staff and angry at their front office. I do think little stupid things like that matter. And yes, it's a risk. And yes, we all would have jumped all over them if he got hurt. However, they're like, it's hard to get big wins like that in your locker room. It's hard to galvanize your team. It's hard to get them to feel like they are all together. And it's really hard to get them to feel like their coach or their general manager gives a about them because they're treated like they're so like replaceable. Yeah, anyway.
Cogs in the machine.
Yeah. I should start that over so that we can edit it so I don't look dumb. But anyway, the point is, it's
studied for the SAT.
They're all treated like cogs, and so I think a moment like that is incredibly valuable to your team, to your roster, to that specific player, but more importantly, everyone else on that team. So yeah, I like it as a risk to take, and who gives a about the other team's feelings?
I don't care about the other team's feelings. I care about your feelings. Like you've already won the game. I don't believe that on that flight back to San Francisco, they played in Jacksonville, if I'm not mistaken, correct? I'm not going to get this wrong.
Yep, you got it right.
So on that flight back to San Francisco, they won by 30 points. I don't think anybody has their head down. I don't think anybody's crying. I don't think they're in bad shape. And I don't think that would have changed if they had just taken Christian McCaffrey out, because everybody in that locker room, everybody on that roster knows you have to have a healthy Christian McCaffrey
Agreed.
to win the Super Bowl.
And I don't think that there'd be an open revolt And I think this is one of the most difficult things about coaching or about leading any group of people is the emotional stuff you cannot measure. So like I cannot definitively tell you, well, this is worth 13 team bonding points. I don't know, but I do know that when you are on a team or when you're boss or when you're in a work environment, you're in a family environment, when someone does something that goes out of their way, that it feels like it is meant to be special for you, and they also take a risk in doing it, it has value. And so I don't know. I cannot put it in a spreadsheet, so maybe no one out there will appreciate it. But I do know, having been on a team, it's nice when somebody does something thoughtful or seems like they care about something more than just whether they win or lose.
You are an enigma because first of all, half the time you say that all of the rah-rah stuff and the speeches are complete don't matter, but Christian McCaffrey scoring a garbage time touchdown is the thing that will launch this team into a Super Bowl run.
You are fully on both sides. So one, I didn't say it would launch the team into a Super Bowl run, and there's very different.
Season's over.
So listen, words are very different than actions. So I agree. The pregame rah-rah speech does not matter. And I also agree that going forward and trying to get Christian this record is not going to translate to big wins. But I do think that there is some value in building your team and doing things that will make them happy and things that are a risk or a sacrifice to you. So yes, I don't think that pregame speeches are going to win or lose you a game. But I do think that in the weeks coming up, if there is a way to reinforce a culture that we're all in together, that we all care about, that stuff translates to people being more committed, which I cannot show you evidence of, but I do believe it's something that I feel.
Counterpoint, it's no longer a distraction.
Charlie, I'm giving you 10 team building points for joining me and picking on Domonique in that segment. We're together.
You guys are great. That was great. That was well done. I hate you both.
Guys, let's move on to the Texans and Bengals, which is another marquee game of the day. CJ Stroud first threw an interception, then Joe Burrow clutched up, and then CJ Stroud re-clutched up, and the Texans won 30-27, launching. It was the win that launched 1,000 takes. CJ Stroud is now firmly entrenched in the MVP debate. Guys, I have something to say. Oh, Bill, do you want to say something with your chest on this one?
No, please.
Oh, no, Charlie got a chest.
Charlie, I'll even throw you an extra team building point for that one, for you even throwing that my way. Please, Charlie, go ahead, my friend.
Thank you. The Texans, they're going to be the team that knocks the Bills out of the postseason this year. The Texans are going to make this. I know, and we have a lot to talk about with this game. But right now, if you look at 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 in the AFC playoff race, the Steelers, who look, guys. We don't even need to pretend. I wanted to troll Barnwell about this and become a Steelers guy. They're not. They're frauds. They're bad. They're not going to end up in the postseason. The Browns are in the 6th seed. The Texans are 7. The Bengals, who I do believe in, are in the 8th seed, and they're getting hot at the right time. They'll be there. And then the Bills, with the murderer's row schedule down the stretch, are 5-4.
You just said the Bengals are getting hot at the right time?
Yeah, he did say that.
That's right. They lost today. It doesn't. It's a good loss.
He thought we weren't listening.
It was a good loss. It built their culture.
Hey,
I mean, that's right. This was a game that before the year, every fan goes through the schedule in May when it gets announced, and they're like, okay, we're checking the victories here.
Before the year, we didn't know CJ Stroud was a god.
That doesn't matter. There's not a single Bengals fan on the planet that looked at this game and said, oh yeah, we might lose this one to the Texans. It might be a trap game. Nobody said that. You cannot have a good win when you lose a game like that, even given what we know about CJ Stroud right now, because this game was winnable for the Bengals. I thought the Texans outplayed them, but the Bengals were sloppy in this game. Joe Burrow had multiple turnovers on the Texan side of the field, I believe. They were in a position to win the game late, and Joe Burrow, depending on who you want to blame, Joe Burrow either missed an open Tyler Boyd for a touchdown or Tyler Boyd dropped a touchdown, but it was a wide open play that should have been 7. They had to settle for 3 instead. Kept the door open just a tiny bit for CJ Stroud, our friend, the MVP candidate, to bust through and win the game for the Houston Texans. And that's something, Charlie and Domonique, that the best teams in football do not do. The great teams in the NFL slam the door shut on those teams and don't let those teams on the come up like the Texans win those games. To me, this was concerning for the Bengals.
In the defense of the Bengals, there are no great teams in football. this year. No, there are no door slammers. I've been looking around the league. There are no door slammers. I guess maybe the Eagles we consider, but we saw them against the Cowboys. They kept propping the door open. The Cowboys wanted to slam the door on themselves, and the Eagles like, hey, we got an extra key. Oh, you want to come on in? So, I mean, I don't think, to Charlie's point, this was not a good win, but I'm not out on the Bengals. I am, however, intrigued by this take, given that the Texans have a last place schedule. They got some easier games coming forward. If you go to Cincinnati and win, there is no game left on the schedule that they cannot win, given what they've shown so far. And they're a young team that we see getting better as the season goes on. The opposite is true for the Bills. Mm-hmm. They are a team that it seems like is progressively getting more injured and older and worse. So I think it's an interesting position to take. It's a nice chesty position. I like it.
And the reason I believe in the Bengals over the Bills is because we had legitimate questions. Yes, the Bengals have started slow.
Hold on, the Texans over the Bills?
No, so the Bengals over the Bengals
okay.
over the Bills for the last playoff spot, assuming the Texans are in there. We had legitimate questions a few weeks ago. Can Joe Burrow and his calf get healthy? Can they be a good offense with him? And he has gotten much closer to his form of the past couple years. That covers a lot of their offensive line deficiencies. And their defense with Big Lou has schemed it in a way that's covered up a lot of their issues in the secondary as well.
Didn't Big Lou's defense allow 30 points to the Texans in this game?
Yeah.
I'm talking
the Texans without Nico Collins, their number one receiver.
But put some respect on their name. On my playoff big board Texans. That's the team that put up 30 points.
I like it because it's a team on the rise versus a team that's falling. It's a hot enough take, but I would love to say CJ Stroud is our good hands player this week, but he was last week. He's been it a bunch.
He's been it twice.
Yeah, he's a
first
legitimate
two-time winner.
He's a legitimate MVP candidate. We have to find someone else. He's won it too many times. What he's done in this game, and not only did he make a mistake late in the game that he could bounce back from, he made a mistake on the first drive. He fumbled a 4th and 1 that cost them points. The mental strength for a player that young, combined with the people around him being also young and reliant, or very much reliant on their quarterback, it's really impressive. I would like to say that I remember a couple weeks ago, I kind of said when we established that C.J. Stroud was a legitimate franchise quarterback with the ceiling very high, that I kind of said that the Houston Texans Super Bowl window is open now, which I still believe it to be the case. But then I started thinking about all the other quarterbacks who had great rookie seasons, and not very many of them won Super Bowls within the next few years.
Well, funny you should say that. Do you want the list of QBs that have won Rookie of the Year since 2000?
Oh, sure. Give it to me.
Ben Roethlisberger in 2004.
Championship. They won one after they beat me in the conference championship round.
That was the next year, though. That was the following year.
I know, but I'm talking about within the rookie contracts.
Okay.
Vince Young, 2006. Matt Ryan, 2008. Sam Bradford, 2010. Cam Newton, 2011. Robert Griffin, 2012. Dak, 2016. Kyler Murray, 2019. And Justin Herbert, 2020. Big Ben's the outlier. Yeah.
No rings. Oh, well.
I will say, Domonique, I know you don't want to give CJ Stroud another Good Hands award, but wouldn't it mean a lot to that locker room if CJ Stroud won 2 weeks in a row and we kept a streak going?
I do like the idea that we now have a thread throughout the show mocking me about caring about people's feelings. I'm fine with that. I've positioned myself as the empathetic analyst. Yes.
He has unlimited room in his heart.
So much. Got such a big heart, lots of room to care about people, because that's how you lead. You lead with your heart, and then you cut them just before they're a little too useless.
Well, their guaranteed money runs out. Do we have... So you guys have no concerns about the Bengals. This team was just like a random loss. They're fine.
Their O-line.
What are your concerns about the Bengals?
Huge O-line concerns. Like I think their pass rush or pass block win rate was like 45 in this game, which is below league average. The issue with this team that has been the issue with this team since Joe Burrow's gotten there. And they've been trying to address it and fix it and solve it. They can't solve it. And that to me is a huge problem. The defensive issues, you can find ways to work around with good coaching. The biggest problem to me is that they cannot protect their injury-prone quarterback.
They did a good job against the 49ers. We were just bragging about having a great pass rush a couple weeks ago, no?
I haven't gotten it to the quarterback as much this year.
It's a great job, Bill. You are asking questions that you know the answer to. Yeah, it's one game. Good job. Yeah, but
so this is only one game.
No, this is not only one game. Over the course of the time that he has been there, they've never properly addressed, or they've tried to, but they have not sustained any protection of Joe Burrow. That's the problem to me. And it's not because he holds onto the ball too long, because like it's pass rush win rate and that stuff accounts for how long you hold on to the ball, because he's prone to try to make big plays. However, they got to keep him off that man. He is not the sturdiest guy.
I got a question, Bill.
What?
I just want to flip this slightly, because I have fewer concerns. Like, I actually do think the Bengals will be there at the end this year. I'm, real hot take here. I'm that in on Joe Burrow. He's that good. But outside of the Chiefs, who have the trust of everyone because they're the reigning Super Bowl champs and they have Patrick Mahomes, is there a team in the AFC that you definitively trust more than the Bengals?
Nope. And that's not a vote of confidence in the Bengals. It's just more a lack of confidence in everybody else in this conference right now. Like, I don't even trust teams that are bad to be bad as much as I trust basically teams like the Chargers to be a total mess and totally random from week to week. I just, maybe this is me overreacting. I think the people on this show are smarter than the average football fan. Some of the people on the show are smarter than the average football fan, but it kind of felt like the entire universe was like, oh, we know what happens for the Bengals. After the bye, they start dominating teams. They won 2 games after their bye, and everyone was like, oh, look, I've spotted a trend. I will pick up on this trend, and I will follow it. And then the Bengals did not follow the trend. That doesn't mean anything that the Bengals won 2 games after the bye. They're not like, they don't get innately better because they had a week off. It's just random that they've been good. They've been healthier. They've had other more tangible reasons than just we happen to get good after the bye. So I don't think the Bengals are a materially different team than the team from the first half of the year outside of Joe Burrow being healthier.
Yeah, you're probably right. But the trend that does feel that you can rely on it so far this season is as soon as we crown you, you go get your beat in the game that you're not supposed to lose.
Should I pivot to the next one?
Oh yeah, perfect setup. See, I'm trying to get like Bill.
Okay, and that is we have a streak going of anyone who I ask, are they the best team in the football? They immediately lose, and that happened today with Domonique's own Baltimore Ravens, who dropped a game to the Browns that they really should not have lost today. They ended up losing 33-31. Lamar had a couple head-scratching plays down the stretch, a pick six that we were on a text thread and Bill foretold. He foretold the pick six.
He did.
Domonique, do you have something about this team that you want to say with your chest?
I do. The Baltimore Ravens have yet to be beaten this season. That's all I'm saying with my chest. All 3 of their losses this season have been them losing games, but not getting beaten. And that, to me, like, it sounds like I'm being positive about the Ravens, but it's really negative considering their track record the last several seasons. There have been games that they had under control. And this, like, bucks one of my favorite things that Charlie's already made fun of me about is, like, institutional stability and teams doing things the right way. You know, the teams that don't blow late game leads that often, the teams that do things the right way. I think we all would agree that the Ravens are a well-run organization. But damn if they didn't blow a game last year that they should have won to, the Raiders in week 1, or at least early in the season. Then it was to the Dolphins that they had a big lead at the end. They did it twice this season to the Steelers and to the Colts, and then they do it again. And this one was more shocking than I think any of those other ones were because of the way that it all fell apart. So yeah, they are not trustworthy. They are a team that I feel like no one is better than them, but they are very capable of beating themselves. No one's better than them when they are playing as well as they can play.
Right, but even in those moments when they're playing as well as they can play, I'm still not confident. Like, I'm still scared. There's going to be one thing that breaks the other team's way, and suddenly this team is going to collapse. And I'm not saying that they're not mentally tough, because I don't think that's a real thing. But I do think, I know publicly, I know a lot of people watching the Ravens have that feeling of like, oh no, it's happening again. And we were texting about it during this game. It was happening. And we saw it. Like it was no shock once the Ravens started missing open touchdown passes, once they threw that pick six. I don't think anybody was surprised that the Ravens lost this game. And I got to figure, if we're thinking that publicly, there have to be at least some people in that locker room feeling the same way about it, no?
I mean, today's game didn't feel like a collapse to me. And sometimes they do feel like collapses, but it felt like a lot of things going wrong at the end. Like the tip ball interception wasn't a collapse, but it was the only way that they could lose that game. And the problem is they made a lot of other mistakes. And when the break, so they had a break at the beginning of the game, the tip ball interception for a touchdown that set them up to win the game. And that's a random thing that you cannot say, hey, we play such good defense that we could tip the ball to ourselves and intercept it for a touchdown. Like 8 out of 10 times, if you tip a ball, it's going to hit the ground at some point. So it just, when I'm watching the game, it does not feel like an implosion. And all of their implosions look different. So it's not like I can say, it's always on this particular facet. Like, we thought the defense was great, but the defense couldn't stop them. They did get a sack fumble on the game-winning drive, but they couldn't recover it. And that's one of those random lucky things. I will point out this one thing, though, that you said that was absurd, that you don't believe mental toughness is a thing. All right, so that's craziness. Mental toughness is absolutely a thing. It's a real thing, 100%.
I'm not in position to criticize anyone else's mental toughness. Let me frame it that way.
Okay, I mean, maybe you can or can't, but it's a real thing. Like, I think if you put a different name on it that was less football-y, you'd be less opposed to the idea that some people are more resilient than others. And I do think that part of what you're saying is if the thought is in their head, you said it has to be creeping in some people's heads. That is the opposite of mental toughness. So you can't, one, say that the thought has to be creeping in some people's head and then say that there's no such thing as mental toughness. That's all.
I did not say there's no such thing as mental toughness.
Don't
Just
worry,
want to point that out. I just said I'm not.
Welcome
I'm not
to the
qualified
family.
to
You're
say
being
it.
gaslit by Domonique.
So it's only gaslighting when one person does it, but when you guys do it to me, it's not gaslighting. Huh? What do you call it then? When you gang up on me and make up something that I didn't say.
Spencer was talking about Domonique this week on Twitter and like how vicious he can be, and I realized this. Like, I love Domonique, but I know the only way to talk with Domonique, the only way to interact with Domonique is to be on the attack 24/7 at all times, because otherwise you're gonna get it. You have to put Domonique on the defensive.
Let's go.
From the start to
this
the
is
end.
this is a mentally tough show. Iron sharpens iron. Bring your when you're coming to talk to me, Billy Barnwell. And we all get better.
Bill, there have been times when Domonique has just said like really nice things to me, where he's like, hey, you did good in that moment. I'm like, oh my God, he thinks I suck. This is like the biggest reveal.
But when I come for your neck, you know it means I love you.
That's exactly right.
What shoes you got on today?
This is why I don't have my feet on the camera right now.
Oh man!
He's on the Domonique Foxworth show.
Now, see, the worst thing is now I gotta buy Charlie new shoes because I feel bad making fun of his shoes.
He's giving me and Jeff Saturday a makeover in New York in a couple weeks.
We got to. We're doing a makeover. Yep.
Can I give you guys a fun stat that's floating around Twitter? That
Please.
This is the 5 teams that have spent the least time trailing in the first 10 games of the season over the last 40 years. The 2023 Ravens are third on that list for cumulative time trailing over their first 10 games. They're with the 1984 Dolphins, 1998 Broncos, 1990 Giants, and 2007 Patriots. Every team but the Ravens was 10-0 at this point in the season. So there is some statistical anomaly stuff going on here that they have lost 3 games.
We solved it. They're mentally weak. Domonique, you're gonna put your name on that because it's a real thing. That's the only explanation, right? Like, what else could it be?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I understand exactly what it is. If it was always the same way, it'd be easy to point to exactly what's going on. It's luck. It's random. When you say it's a statistical anomaly, that suggests randomness to me, not something that reflects on this team specifically. But I guess you could also say that this team is uniquely built to fail in those moments.
But this is not, like, you're right that it's happening in a different way each week.
Right.
But this is not a one-year thing.
Yeah.
This has been the case for the Ravens for multiple seasons now. And we don't think they have a bad coach. I think we all agree John Harbaugh is a very good head coach. It's not like they're lacking talent. It's not like they're, dealing with they have injuries, but not dealing with a ton of injuries relative to other teams, relative to years past for the Ravens. It's not like Tyler Huntley is in at quarterback, but to me, I have to see them win a Super Bowl again before I'm going to believe in this team. They could run the table between now and the Super Bowl, and I would still be sitting here the day of the Super Bowl even if I picked them to win, scared that they were going to collapse because I've just seen it happen too many times now. And to Dominique's point, you're right. They're beating themselves in those moments. That's just exhausting to watch as someone who wants to see them win.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I wish I knew what it was, but imagining them putting together 3 weeks in a row in the playoffs of where they do not find some late game collapse, like that seems hard to believe. And then do it again in the Super Bowl if they're not the 1 seed, like that is very hard to imagine. You could easily imagine the Chiefs putting something like that together. I mean, we've seen the Bengals do damn near the same thing, but the Ravens, and the wildest thing about it is we always thought that they were the team that was most well constructed to put a game away because of their running attack. And because right now they're the best pass rush in football. There should be no team better at holding on to a lead, which I guess we've proven that they are really great at holding on to a lead until the last minute. Anyway.
Last 40 seconds. Charlie, can you get me a stat, please? I have a question and a criticism to raise of our friend John Harbaugh. How many touches did Keaton Mitchell get in this game for the Baltimore Ravens? Because I don't know if you saw, Domonique, early in that game, Keaton Mitchell is a fast man. He ran for, I think, a 39-yard touchdown in this game, made 2 defenders miss in open space. And then how many touches did he get over the rest of the game, Charlie?
I mean, before Charlie...
4 total touches.
Yeah.
4?
I mean, in defense of Harbaugh, Keenan Mitchell had a touchdown pass, hit him. Who?
Keaton?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Keaton Mitchell had a touchdown pass, hit him in the chest in the end zone, and that was the last time they gave him the ball. Catch the ball, Keaton.
He can't drop a touchdown pass if you're getting handed it. That's what handoffs are for.
That's
Hand
fair.
him the damn ball. He's a running back.
Fair point. All right.
Do we have anything to say about the Browns, or is this just strictly the Ravens beating themselves? Do the Browns enter into the equation at all here?
We should, because especially considering how rough it looked in the first half for Deshaun Watson, and then he went 14 for 14, 134 yards, touchdown.
What does that sound like to you? When he was struggling and there was adversity and he overcame it. What is that? What could that be?
The team itself. I think that defense is the only unit over there I can give credit to that's consistently impressive in Myles Garrett. Yeah, I mean, I do think people see this as a defining win for the Browns.
The Browns do.
Yeah, they should. I mean, it was a really impressive win in Baltimore on the road. It also feels like the same thing happened last year with the Dolphins. Like, that was the win that launched the Dolphins into believing that they could be competitive and good, and led them to becoming mentally tough. So this could be a catalyst win for the Browns also. I still don't feel all that confident. Maybe I watched that game live, and at no point did I feel like, man, they got this figured out on offense. Like, it just didn't feel like it to me. It didn't feel like, and I guess it was because there was a lot of Watson scrambling and stuff like that, but it didn't feel like they had cracked the code on the offense. The defense is the defense, and they ended up being a major reason why they were in this game at the end. They were competitive at the end, but I don't know. Maybe it'll be the catalyst, but it didn't feel like they figured anything out to me.
I have no idea what to think, because it's like we had a half of football of Deshaun Watson playing at a really high level after he's been bad for most of this season. So it's
hurt.
Yeah, and he hurt his left ankle in the second half of this game, and is questionable for next week.
He was late coming out of the locker room in the first half. There was people tweeting that PJ Walker was going to start the second half. PJ Walker, I believe, came on the field to throw that Hail Mary at the end of the first half, which you have a $230 million quarterback, and I guess he's hurt. He can't throw the ball downfield. Probably not a good sign. The Browns are in a big group of teams for me, Charlie, that fit into maybe a phrase I want to say with my chest as we move on here. Am I allowed to do that?
Yes, of course.
The pause pregnancy was just growing. I was waiting for you to drop the bomb on us.
Anybody who did not trade for Joshua Dobbs at the trade deadline and has a quarterback who sucks should be forced to publicly apologize.
Great chest voice.
Can that actually pivot us to, guys, put your hands up?
Throw them up.
And now it's time for our Good Hands Moments presented by Allstate. Josh Dobbs, Had a lot of good hands moments today. Josh Dobbs had about 268 yards, a touchdown through the air, a touchdown on the ground. The Pastronaut. He didn't know his teammates' names a couple of weeks ago. He was learning the calls on the sideline. He was taking his first snaps. And the Vikings pulled off another heroic victory today. And Bill Barnwell, we heard your take. But do you have more on the Vikings and the Josh Dobbs experience and how good this team can be and how is he doing this? People like Domonique have told us that football is a complicated game and us mere mortals can't understand what a quarterback has to do to succeed. And Josh Dobbs, he needs like 3 days and 2 snaps with the center to do it.
Josh Dobbs is fast. Josh Dobbs is smart. And there's like 6 plays you need to learn to be an NFL quarterback. He knows those 6 plays. He's fine. You got to know boot. You got to know like mesh. You got to know forwards. If you know that stuff, you'll be fine. Josh Dobbs is just a well-prepared, smart, thoughtful quarterback. And that's what makes the fact that nobody was willing to offer more than that so frustrating, because we literally saw him do this 8 weeks ago. We saw him take over the Cardinals, who don't have the talent the Vikings have, who don't have the coaching the Vikings have. We saw him take over that team and prove he can win and be competitive despite the fact that he didn't know his teammates' names, despite the facts that everybody had left them for dead. And that is infuriating to me, because you have so many general managers making millions of dollars who have these billion-dollar teams they're running, and yet they couldn't be bothered. It was too much work to trade a 6th-round pick straight up for Josh Dobbs, or possibly give up a 5th-round pick because you know they're going to be so valuable. And I'm not always the biggest fan of what the Vikings did, but remember, they made this trade not knowing they were going to need Josh Dobbs. Or sorry, no. They did make this trade knowing they were going to need Josh Dobbs, but they made this trade not expecting Joshua Dobbs to step in immediately and be their guy. And yet he's still been able to do that. And that's a credit to everybody involved.
So I agree with you, Bill. Everyone who did not at least give the Cardinals a call and think about Josh Dobbs should be called to the carpet. However, do you think that Josh Dobbs is the long-term answer? Because I think right now there are people in Minnesota who are considering that. And I think the defense of some of these other places is they see the Pastronaut as a cute story, but they do not see him as the long-term solution. And if you look at his numbers so far this season, he's been up and down, but never quite like dominant. So that doesn't mean that he is not the long-term answer, but I think that's what people are seeing as him as, at best, a bridge quarterback, not even to the level of like Geno Smith earning yourself a semi-long-term contract.
What do you see from Joshua Dobbs' play that is lacking? Like, does he have a superstar arm? No, but not every quarterback has a superstar arm. I think he makes good decisions generally with the football. I think he can create out of structure. Clearly he's smart. Clearly he's not just like book smart, but clearly football smart in terms of learning things and picking stuff up quickly. He's done it twice now. I think, does he have every single trait you look for in a quarterback? No, but we're not very good at judging quarterbacks. And I think when you have quarterbacks who are not 6'4" guys who are traditional pocket passers, you're going to poke holes in them. And I think that's what my problem is here, is that you had a player who was, a guy who was going to create more scrambling, was going to create more as a runner, and people found excuses to not value him that way. So if he keeps doing this, like whether they make it to the playoffs, whether they win every game or not, if he can be this caliber of player for the rest of the year, I think absolutely you give him that Geno Smith contract and see if he can do it again in 2024.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think I was doing my best to create the devil's advocate argument, but what he has done on the field is enough to project, so far what I've seen, enough to project that he's worth giving a shot, given that what we look at for lots of other quarterbacks is what they've done not in the NFL, projects them in hope that they could put together a couple of games like Josh Dobbs just did in back-to-back weeks.
And he's doing this with no Justin Jefferson. He's now lost his starting running back in back-to-back games. Cam Akers tore his Achilles last week. This week, Alexander Madison left with a concussion. Like, the Vikings were not a great team without him. I don't know that they were a great team with him, but they were a pretty good team for the last year and a half with a quarterback making a ton of money. And now they have a quarterback who's making pretty much nothing relative to Kirk Cousins, and they look maybe just as good, maybe a tiny bit better. Is it fair to say?
Yeah. I mean, we started with this talking about quarterback expectations. Josh Dobbs. Who would have thought 10 weeks into the season, Josh Dobbs has had a better year than Trevor Lawrence?
He's had a better year than a lot of quarterbacks.
Had a pretty great year, especially
He's had a better year than Joe Burrow.
Yeah, if you control for expectations, there's not very many people out here who can compare to him this year as far as the quarterback's concerned. Yeah, I mean, and he's fun to root for. It's going to be, if he gets the big contract or a bigger contract or gets a team that's legitimate handed to him, it's going to be a lot less fun experience. So let's live in the now. Let's keep calling him the pastronaut and enjoying Josh Dobbs. When the expectations change, the enjoyment changes.
I just love that he's literally the guy who gets to play all-time QB in a touch football game. You can put him anywhere. He's going to go out there and throw some dimes. Guys, I have an update. We're taping this to the audience. We're taping this during Sunday Night Football.
No.
Oh, no.
No.
Oh, no. I
This
don't
is
like
gonna
this.
Be bad.
No.
This is going to make me mad.
Aaron Rodgers has told NBC that he plans to return by mid-December.
Okay.
Anything you'd like to say with your chest about that, Domonique?
I'd like to say that December is a month of miracles. So let's hope that. Well, I don't think that there's no chance that Aaron Rodgers believes in miracles. I mean, to me, it feels. So I defended Aaron Rodgers originally when he started talking about he was going to come back because, again, back to what I think has become the theme of the show, is I believe that there was some psychic value to his team in encouraging them to believe that he was coming back. I think it's real. I think it's real. Like, hold down the fort, guys. I'll be back. And I didn't think he actually believed it. And he also gave voice to the idea that I need to have a goal. In order for me to like go to rehab and work really hard, I need to have a goal. And I agree with that also as value.
So you're in the locker room. You're a Jets cornerback. And Aaron Rodgers is like, I'm going to listen to dolphin sex noises to fix my Achilles. And you're like, all right, I can run through the wall. I am motivated to play now. I have something to live for.
Plus 6 team building points for Aaron Rodgers saying he's going to come back on his Achilles in 4 months.
Oh, I appreciate that you guys are making a mockery of this. It makes me seem even more smart or even smarter because even more smartest there because you guys clearly don't understand. And it's just like, Bill, you of all people should not fall into this trap. This is an obvious nerd trap that makes nerds look silly, that seems like they believe that everything is a video game and that you can numbers everything out. There are emotional things that we cannot value. And so, yes, saying he listened to dolphin noises and jumping from that to saying now I have a reason to live is an absurd thing to say. But if you don't think that it is realistic, Charlie, if I give you a 10-pound weight and I say you need to hold this for an hour, and then I say, you know what? Hold it for 15 minutes. You will find
no chance on either way.
Okay, either way. You will find a little bit more energy to hold it for that time. Like, I believe that's a thing you can fight through. So that's the same thing. It's reasonable. It makes sense.
No. Okay, but Charlie, what if I played dolphin sex noises for 15 minutes while you were listening to it? Would that increase your...
I'd hold it for hours.
Like that's the difference here.
So
like Domonique, did we not go through the Broncos last year where Russell Wilson was literally like doing what was he doing on the airplane?
High knees down the aisle.
He was doing high knees in the plane. Are you telling me that the Broncos defense were like, man, I'm going to say it with my chest, I believe in Russell Wilson. We're going to be good. How did that work out for the Broncos last year, dude?
Every situation is different. And Russell Wilson does not have the cachet. He did not have the cachet in that locker room that Aaron Rodgers did. No, he didn't. It was clear.
Okay.
You heard how they talked about him and the team.
That's true.
Yeah, like they talked about him in a different way than the way that these guys talk about Aaron Rodgers. And we had this glimpse in the Hard Knocks. They really believe in him. And so I don't know how he delivers this message, but I do believe that there's some obvious value to giving them some tangible belief. However, you guys stopped me before I could get to my point. Now it seems like he really believes it.
Yeah, 3 months. 3.5 months post Achilles injury.
I was excusing it by saying, no, he's trying to give himself a goal and he's trying to motivate his team. He doesn't actually believe it. I find it very hard to believe. Now, every thing has to happen the first time. This would be the first time. I don't know if he has some insight that we don't have. We can all wait and see. Fortunately, I don't have to predict this. I think it sounds absurd. But we'll see. I guess, can he step out on the field? Sure. Is it going to be smart? Hell no. But we'll see.
Cam Akers came back in under 6 months when he played running back in the
He was the thing that I feel bad saying this because I'm really impressed that he came back. He almost cost the Rams that Super Bowl.
Mhm.
He was the worst player on the field in multiple games during that Super Bowl run. And I don't want to be disrespectful to Cam Akers. Very tough guy. I'm impressed that he came back.
Mental toughness.
It was not a helpful thing. Mental toughness is a real thing. I did not say otherwise. Yeah, there's no videotape suggesting to that fact. I just, if you're the Jets and you're the people in that locker room, the only thing that would be more crushing than having Aaron Rodgers tear his Achilles now, or Achilles in September, is tearing it again in December and then being stuck with maybe not having Aaron Rodgers for 2024. And that's my concern, is that you have Aaron Rodgers coming back. It's not going to be coming back for like a 13-2 Jets team. It's not going to be coming back for, hey, a team that is in the postseason. Like, what's he going to come back for? A Jets team that's like 8-8? That's going to be the 6 or 7 seed in the AFC? Like, you really think the Jets are even an Aaron Rodgers away from being like a serious competitor right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that he believes it's possible. What seems more probable is all the other alternatives. Like, it seems more probable that he just wants to stay in the story. Like, it seems more probable that he wants to motivate his team. Like, those things seem more likely than he's actually going to step on the field and be a productive player. We've seen him do these pregame drop back throws and whatever, but I think it's obvious to all of us that even though it may be impressive that he's capable of doing that, that ain't football. And the way he started his season, as unfortunate as it was, he was holding onto the ball a long time, longer than he had to, and moving around, attempting to do athletic things. So if he were Peyton Manning or played that style of ball where Peyton would throw it away, especially when he was in Denver, as soon as anything was a problem, get rid of it.
The Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, that's not Aaron Rodgers. And I don't know that he's going to change his style of play, but it just seems like all bad. Even if he is capable of coming back, to your point, Bill, it seems like then he's going to be out next year too, or at least slow down his recovery and hurt their chances the following season.
I don't like it.
I don't either. Thanks a lot for ruining the show, Charlie.
Yeah, we were really on a high. Everyone was vibing. It felt like we had a really good team dynamic going.
Yep.
And now
a lot of team building points were earned today.
You guys should be mentally tougher than that.
You're right. We're going to persevere through. Bounce back. Well done, Charlie.
That's all I got.
Anything else?
Okay. You don't want to talk about Bill Belichick? You don't want to talk about...
I don't want to say that with my chest. The thing I was trying to type out takes that I wasn't going to say with my chest, but the Colts lost to the Colts beat the Patriots 10-6.
Oh, yeah.
They should have left Bill Belichick in Germany.
Ooh.
That sounds like a tweet. Like, I feel like that's when they say should have been an email like that.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to. You
I know you're right.
You bullied me into the bad take.
I was agreeing with you. I also would like to say that I'm proud of you that we did not get to Travis Kelce in this show. Well done, sir.
I really, Bill. I'll open up the kimono here. I was trying to ask Domonique. I was like, Travis Kelce. He's in Argentina on the bye week. You're in the locker room. Is that a distraction? Is someone really are you elbowing another defensive back and being like, this guy, is he really committed to winning? And Dominique goes like, hell no. He's Hall of Famer, best guy other than Mahomes on the team. Don't ever debut that take in public.
Anyway, so thank you, Bill, for joining us. And thank you, Charlie. And of course, thank you, Allstate. This has been the Domonique Foxworth Show presented by Allstate. Throw your hands up. Thank you to all our great producers in Podville for giving us this wonderful studio. Shout out Megan, Serafina, Kevin, Brian, and I guess Cortez too.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.